We're going to try and answer the question, what it takes, or are you good enough to play college golf? So let's go. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. So this video is going to be a little different today. This is going to be a topic I think a lot of people are interested in, which is kind of what it takes. Are you good enough to be a college golfer? And ideally, I think we're going to try and answer this question in a pretty general sense, but giving you either as maybe a high school golfer or the parent of a high school golfer, or maybe just, you're a weekend player or you play at your club and you're just kind of wondering where you would stack up. Are you good enough to be a college golfer? So we've got someone you probably know if you've watched enough of my videos, because he's been on countless times. I refer to him as my golfing robot. But we've got Keenan Hickton here. He is the head men's golf coach at Suwanee University. And he's going to help us kind of navigate this question, help us at least get a better understanding of what it takes to be a college golfer. So Keenan, welcome. Thanks for doing this today. Why don't we start off just a little bit, quick background for you, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So background in college golf is I played college golf 2014 to 2018, Division III golf at Emory University. I feel I've seen golf at all the levels basically of men's college golf especially, so we will focus on men's college golf today. One thing I would say is after college golf, I went from Division III college golf, both on teams that were 50s in national rankings for Division III college golf, all the way to a team that was certainly one of the best teams in Division III, and then coaching 5 years as an assistant coach for also Emory University, having one of the best continued programs in Division III, 9 out of 10 years being ranked the #1 team in Division III, having the opportunity to play in some Division I tournaments, so have sort of that comparison. And then the past year coaching Suwanee, also Division III in the Southeast. We finished last season 4th in the year-end rankings, so a high level of golf. And then just also as an aside, I've seen Division I golf, Division II golf, NAIA golf in summer amateur tournaments myself, in summer amateur tournaments as a coach or caddy, down in Florida, watching, coaching, helping people or playing in games with people that are playing full-time professional golf after playing college golf. So I certainly consider myself a bit of a 10-year expert in the levels of college golf.
All right, so first question would be, I guess we should probably just put this in a framework of understanding. Obviously, there are different levels, there are different divisions within college golf or any college sport. So kind of, if you could just give us maybe a quick idea of what we're talking about in the various different levels or different categories.
Yeah, sure. So we're having fun with this, right? It's an imperfect question. So the 2 steps we kind of decided to focus on, and happy to take questions in the comments, but step number 1 is maybe be helpful. Maybe there's a junior golfer who wants to learn, or maybe there's a parent that knows nothing about golf and they've got a talented junior golfer, so maybe we can be helpful. And then maybe a more fun side aspect of settle a debate in the locker room at your club of your club champion is playing a +2, +4 handicap, or he just shot 74 to win the club championship. Let's settle a debate in the locker room. Would he play on the college golf team? Would he make the lineup? So that's what we're having fun with. And for simplicity, this is the 2025 version of this. It's changed since 2013, 2014 when I was being recruited. It'll change again soon after this. And then also for simplicity, we're going to focus on men's college golf in the United States, and the levels we're going to focus on are basically Division I and everything else. And the everything else is Division II, Division III, there's community college and junior college golf, and then there's NAIA college golf. And we'll get into some of those intricacies between those levels.
Now, the other thing we should probably mention, and you've already touched on it briefly, is just that this is, of course, at this moment in time, August 2025, and as you were mentioning earlier off camera, things are, I mean, always changing, but there are some pretty big changes coming. If you would just kind of highlight those.
Yeah, scary thing to speak about on the record because it'll change by the moment the video is released. But what we're referring to right now is there's a House settlement issue in college sports, and it's certainly going to directly affect college golf. And the simplest form of how it's going to affect college golf in this video is roster limits. So a standard Division I golf team for the last 15, 20 years of my observing college golf might have 8 or 9 players on it, but might also have 12 or 14 players on it. In the next coming years, a Division I college golf team that has opted in to the roster limits and being able to fully fund a roster, they might have a roster limit of 9 players or 8 players on men's golf in the SEC. So that's really important for our video, and we can tag a link that you can read about that more if you're interested. But it's really important for our video because effectively 900 spots in Division I golf are being deleted. So if we assume 12, 900 is probably too many, but if we assumed 12 players on every roster and there's about 300 teams and now we're going down to 9, we're going to delete somewhere between 500, 900 roster spots, which are going to go down to play, a lot of them play Division II, Division III golf, or NAIA golf, or junior college golf. So that might affect this video, right? Because if your 72 shooter at your club, if I tell you that they could make a college golf team Division I, well, that might change if we delete a certain number of roster spots.
Right. So basically every level is going to get more.
That would be my anticipation.
More competitive.
Yeah. We can't see the future, but I certainly think just in my very seat as a Division III golf coach, I have certainly received emails and strong expressions of interest from much higher caliber players, which means they've been receiving disinterest from programs that were previously conveying a lot of interest. So I think it's an interesting factor for this video, certainly.
So the next question, and this is probably going to be, this is kind of the piece of this I'm assuming that most people are going to be most interested in, which is, and again, we realize that there are a lot of nuances here and we're painting with a very broad brush, but just kind of getting into what it takes by the numbers, let's say it, to get into these different levels of men's college golf. So handicap, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. So very difficult question, right? And handicap is nuanced because the course you play, the weather conditions you typically play in, how good your Saturday game is at keeping score, how often you tap in those 4-footers makes a big difference in what your handicap might be. But I think a good starting point is that, and I'll be very conservative, I'll almost go possible. That's kind of the approach I'm going to take to it. So I would say that a 1 or 2 handicap, a standard 1 or 2 handicap that plays to a 1 or 2 handicap. I mean, they're someone that you believe they could win money on Saturday or Wednesday in the club game as a 2 handicap. They certainly could have a spot on a NAIA junior college or some Division III or some Division II teams. I might say the number moves to scratch at a minimum for some of the lower tier Division I teams or higher tier Division II, Division III NAIA programs. And then I would certainly say right now, +2 handicap, +3 handicap, +4 handicap. Again, that's keeping score, playing a course that has a respectable course rating, playing at least under pressure, maybe in tournaments or club events or state level events. I think they could play at most or all levels of college golf. Now, whether they're going to be actually offered a roster spot by the coach and go through the process, that's a whole different story, right? Because in my seat, I might only be offering 2 or 3 roster spots a year, and a Division I coach might only be offering 1 or 2. depending on their roster size. So there are +3 or +4 handicaps that I might choose someone else over, right? I like something about them. I'm taking a leap of faith with them. My job's dependent on projecting the future, and I see a better future for this scratch handicap than I see for this +4 handicap. But I would say, to answer the question, I feel very comfortable about a +2 to a +4 handicap could go out on Saturday with the college golf team and play, and they could, fit in with the team, and that's certainly assuming that they're a good handicap keeper.
Okay, so that is the broad idea, the broad view based on handicap, based on scoring. But you were mentioning earlier that it's going to go beyond just that when we're really trying to fine-tune things and figure out who makes sense for a team. So could you talk a little bit more, or talk about things, those sort of advanced statistics that factor in, what are really important, what seems like it's, the big thing maybe that moves the needle beyond just, that +2 handicap or that 1 handicap?
Yeah, sure. So I think first, for a junior golfer, just to kind of get this out of the way, there's rating systems. Junior Golf Scoreboard, TUGR. I mean, these are rating systems that are important for parents to know about with their junior golfers. They're based on multiple day tournaments and AJGAs and amateur events. They do a very good job of tracking junior golf rankings. And I can absolutely say that rankings are not everything, but in 10 years of recruiting and observing junior golf rankings, I certainly think that your junior golf numbered ranking and your scoring differential, which is a measurement they've come up with of how well you're doing compared to the course rating, is a very good indicator to a college coach. I think most good college coaches, in my opinion, are reading an email and typing in the name immediately into Junior Golf Scoreboard or TUGR or other potential ranking systems, and they're looking at that number, and that number is, can we continue this conversation? Or that number is, call me. or that number is, maybe I need to do some more research here. There's something here, but I want to, it's a bucket, it really is. And I hate to be a numbers-based person, but I've just seen the effectiveness of these numbers. So that's kind of the junior golf perspective. But now when we talk about advanced stats, right, everybody knows your handicap is just a number, your 72 average is just a number, 72 average at easy course in Atlanta is a lot different than 72 average in California in gale force winds. So one of the numbers that certainly comes to mind for me is ball speed. We are in a day and age, possibly because of Bryson DeChambeau single-handedly, ball speed is a very good indicator of your future and your ceiling and your floor. So a lot of coaches are using ball speed as an entrance exam. I think of Major League Baseball tryouts at the single A level. I've heard stories of, you have baseball tryouts, you got ex-college baseball players coming in to be a pitcher on a single A team. And step one is, here's 3 balls, go make that radar say 90 miles per hour. If you can't do that, thanks for coming, right? We're getting close to that point where especially Division I, Division II, and top Division III coaches are saying, what is your driver ball speed? What can you make it say? What does it say on average? Because we're just moving the tees back to 6,800 to 7,000 to 7,200 to 7,400 yards. And especially if your ranking doesn't say you're unbelievably good, if you just can't make that thing say 170 miles per hour ball speed, 175 miles per hour ball speed, 180 miles per hour ball speed at these various levels, it's going to be very difficult to compete. Just to give one really good frame of reference, I would say, my personal experience 10 years ago in Division III golf on a good Division III golf team, a 165 to a 170 ball speed, average person who's pumping that out, 168 all day, 8 a.m., they could be one of the second or first best players on the team. They could be one of the All-Americans in the country. They could really be competitive. I would say just 10 years later in Division III golf alone, if that's your number, you could still do it, but you're going to have to be that much better of a wedge player, a chipper, a putter, right? It's just making that much of a leap. And then I think you could certainly differentiate between the divisions of golf with ball speed. Now, the #1 amateur in the world, Jackson Koiven, does not have the highest ball speed in the world if you look at the top 100 amateurs in the world. Just like Scotty Scheffler does not have the highest ball speed in the world. But both of them are at a very competitive level amongst ball speed. They are certainly not, in the lower 1 percentile or 10 percentile. It's just very difficult to compete. So, we could talk about some other advanced stats, but absolutely ball speed is one that comes to mind right now of initial email with limited ranking information, Division I coach, SEC coach, mid-major coach. First response might be, send me your last TrackMan session with your coach. And they're pretty much looking for what's that ball speed say.
Obviously, ball speed, very high up on the list. If I was to ask what's one more statistic beyond scoring average and college ranking or amateur ranking and ball speed.
Yeah, there's a lot more I could offer. I would say, again, these rely on stat tracking being effective and a little bit of nuance with course. So maybe a ton of data would be helpful to kind of, offset that nuance. But I would say, fairways, if you're hitting 10 or 12 fairways around on average in your many rounds of golf, 65, 70% of fairways. Greens in regulation, very similar, about 65 to 70% of fairways over a long period of time. I think that's a very good indicator. Up and down percentage, upwards of 50 or 60% of the time. I think that's a decent indicator. Putting stats, I think, one thing we always track with our team is 3-putt percentage. So if you're 3-putting 5 or even 8% of the greens or less, that's a great indicator. And then one more would be drivers in the trees, maybe less than 3, less than 5% of drivers in the trees. That's a very specific stat that, some stat tracking tools offer it, but you could look at it in your own round if you're just guys at the club that are tracking your games. If your driver out of his last 100 drives, how often did he hit a drive that he couldn't go for the green? Just had to come out sideways out of a bunker. And that can be pretty easy at a wide open golf course that you play, and it can be pretty hard at some of these forest-lined courses in Georgia. But I think Division I, let's just go Division I golf at a decent level, maybe not the absolute highest level, and just get on the team. Are you hitting 65% of the fairways? Are you hitting 65, 70% of the greens? Are you getting up and down about 50, 60% of the greens that you're missing? And then, are you 3-putting less than 5% of the greens you play? And hopefully that accounts for tapping in all those 3-footers and 5-footers we have on Saturday morning. Because they're hard to make those. It's hard to make those. Yeah.
They are. You put a little pressure on it. Yeah. It's a whole different thing. Okay, so last question I'm going to ask is just if there are high school golfers watching this or parents of high school golfers watching this, what would be a couple tips that you would have as far as things they can do, things they can work on to really kind of improve their chances of being able to play golf at the college level?
Yeah, sure. I would say first and foremost is get better at golf every day, right? Like go work hard, go to the range and get a little better today than you were yesterday. Get better at hitting your 8-iron straight, get better at hitting your 8-iron high and low, get better at hitting your driver in the center of the club face. Go set up a putting drill, and if you make 12 out of 20 in the drill you set up today, try to make 13 tomorrow morning. I mean, it's as simple as that. Get a little better at golf. I'd say I certainly recommend finding a PGA instructor or swing coach that's respected nearby and committing to that path, committing to hitting more fairways and greens in regulation, committing to building a swing that's sustainable and is adding speed so you can kind of hit some of these ball speed indicators. And then I would say, you have to play pressure in tournament golf. I mean, it is incredible how much junior golf the juniors are playing these days. I mean, I was in the recruiting process just 10, 12 years ago, and I was certainly not playing a touring schedule, right? I was playing a couple AJGAs a summer, and now it's changed, right? I think the players I'm recruiting are playing as many tournaments as Rory McIlroy. They're just traveling around playing 20, 25 tournaments. So my advice to that parent or that junior golfer, I've heard this advice from other coaches, so it's not my own, but I think a great piece of advice is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Play 1/3 of your tournaments locally, super locally. Play 1/3 of your tournaments regionally, and then play, 1/3, go try to play in those national tournaments. And hopefully that puts a lot of value on those local and regional tournaments, because it's expensive to go play these national tournaments, but there's absolutely still a place for go play the club championship, go play the junior club championship, go play the high school tournament, and go beat everybody in the area. I promise that the college golf coaches are interested in the player that is tough to beat, and when everybody in town shows up, they're all thinking, John or Joe has a real good chance of winning today because he's just a good golfer. So, and then the last thing I would say to that is multiple day tournaments as much as you can. I think one key element of our settling the debate for the guys at the club is a lot of people can look like a +3 or +4 handicap on Saturday and then not again the next day on Sunday. And we're playing 20 days of competition, and a lot of those tournaments are 36 holes on Monday and 18 holes on Tuesday. And certainly us college coaches and college teammates that are hoping to build winning teams are looking for people that can play good on Monday morning and Monday afternoon and Tuesday morning. And that is a very difficult differentiation in golf.
So hopefully this gives you a little better idea of what it takes, either as if you're a high school freshman or sophomore on the golf team, kind of giving you a better idea of where you could possibly go, or the parent of one of those players, or again, just one of the guys at the local club just wondering where you would stack up in the modern college game. Hopefully this gives you a little better idea. I want to give a big thank you to Keenan for all his information and expertise on the subject. So thank you very much. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, something a little different, definitely. If you did, make sure you go down below, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you'll be alerted when I post new videos. And yeah, we'll see you next time.